Primetime Texas returns with Tracy Rowlett.
And welcome back. It sounds like a recipe for a witch's brew. Venom of an adder, web of a spider, saliva of a bat. But science is discovering wonders in such things, even miracle cures for some of the world's deadliest diseases. You might think the people who go out on such biological roundups would have to be a little crazy and equally eccentric. Primetime Texas correspondent Shelley Koffler discovered both those qualities in a Texan who finds crawling into a dank Mexican cave all in a day's work.
If your image of a scientist is a researcher in a white coat who spends most of his time hunched over experiments, you've never met Terry Fredeking.
Well, this is to ward off the evil spirits that live here.
You think he's a little
nuts? Of course he is.
This time, Fredeking has dressed the part as he travels to Mexico in search of the blood-sucking vampire bat.
These types of expeditions have never affected me before at all.
Fredeking's latest venture takes him to an area near Tepoztlan, where local artists immortalize the creatures of the night on native masks.
Into the valley they went. Half a league onward.
Trapping the vampire bat is a nasty job that will force Fredeking and his crew into 3 black, mucky caves.
Where we found the vampire herb
filled with bats and more.
I forgot to tell you about my little fear of heights.
Oh, really?
Well, I guess this is not a good time to talk about it.
And you can also realize that once you hit the ground, you're not very high.
Thank you.
But someone has to do it. Science calls. And Fredeking's Bedford, Texas company, Antibody Systems, isn't in the habit of saying no, especially when researchers want rare specimens found in nature.
Have you ever turned down a job?
I turned down one thing.
What?
The collection of a human brain. I would not do that.
Fredeking has, however, collected plenty of other bizarre and dangerous creatures over the past 7 years, most often for pharmaceutical companies.
That is ugly. Whoa, that's ugly.
He traveled to South Africa when a lab needed venom from 2 deadly snakes.
Everyone that's ever tried to milk this snake and been impaled lost the tip of their finger.
He collected leeches in Mexico. And for one of his most unusual expeditions, Fredeking traveled down under in search of the devil. The Tasmanian devil, that is, a sometimes ferocious, meat-eating marsupial with bone-crushing jaws.
I think he's got a hangover.
A sense of humor makes the job easier, but for Fredeking, this is also serious science. The devil attracts a parasite which may hold the key to developing new arthritis medication. Other specimens may lead to genetically engineered blood thinners or anti-inflammatory treatment. Fredeking himself funds some of the research at the University of Texas at Arlington.
I'm a 60% scientist, a 60% businessman, and a 60% high adventurer, but I'm 180% devoted.
Fredeking didn't attend college, and as a student, there was little indication he would end up in this exclusive profession.
Oh, I flunked both semesters of biology. Not just one, but both semesters I failed.
He credits a high school teacher, Bob Neighbors, with sparking his passion for creepy, crawly critters 2 decades ago, when he allowed Fredeking to create his own laboratory outdoors in a place called Fossil Creek.
He was a character then. If he wanted to learn about biology down at the creek and out in the woods, that was fine with me.
Will the Komodo dragon expedition be successful?
The images are cloudy.
Friends say that behind Fredeking's childlike wackiness lies a genius, but it's a genius that can get out of hand. Which is why Fredeking wisely surrounds himself with people who can rein him in. Retired Ambassador Bob Dean has accompanied Fredeking to Mexico.
Okay, is the humidity and the temperature warrant using the gas mask for the fungus that's in the cave?
While Fredeking and biologists analyze the risk of catching rabies or respiratory illness from the bats, Dean analyzes political risks, and to put it bluntly, the Fredeking factor. More than once, Dean has rescued the adventurer when his enthusiasm crossed the boundaries of good sense.
In Guatemala, of course, Terry has a sense of humor, which is not always shared by people he's dealing with, or not always understood. So in the midst of the briefing, the telephone of the foreign minister rang. And Terry just popped up right away with this group. There were about 12 of us in the group, and said, if it's for me, tell him I'm not in. You know, here's the foreign minister. So I said, Terry, one more crack like that and you won't be here. As he says, it's not a job, it's an adventure.
In the cave.
It lives in the cave.
And so that's
how
why
they
it's
got
called
the
the
name.
Cave of the Devil.
But it started right here, 6 years ago.
The first cave of this expedition is called the Cave of the Devil, and it draws its name from a legend that claims a mythic kind of dog lives here and at night transforms itself into the devil. This is where Fredeking and bat expert Rodrigo Vargas trapped their first vampire and extracted saliva.
You heard him.
Es probable, no sé, 200, 300.
200-300, probably.
Really?
It's where Vargas was bitten by a vampire, and Fredeking immediately injected him with an antidote, since about 20% of the vampires carry rabies. Vampires typically attack livestock, then regurgitate their blood in the caves. The telltale signs are here, but the visible bats aren't vampires. There's no choice, then, but to head to a more remote area an hour and a half away, to add the kind of adventure that Fredeking loves to talk about.
Hell, this is just straight up. No machete. You don't need a machete, you got me. No machete. Says like this, I wish I'd learned to ride a horse. God, it smells good too, doesn't it?
An ammonia-like smell that singes your nostrils, and other evidence of the vampires is everywhere.
Coming out, right there where my light's shining. See it? See how they move? Yeah.
Ahí están.
Off the right, right here.
Yeah. Okay, he got it,
Okay.
Oh, he's mad too.
The two vampires snared in this cave will be killed so they can be tested for rabies. At least one more bat in one more cave is needed.
Having 5 or 6 people in this very small cave can be frightening to the bats, as you might imagine. So for the last 20 or 30 minutes, we've been sitting in total darkness, hoping that they would return. We can smell them and in many cases see signs that they've been here. But so far, it's been very difficult for us to locate the bats here in this cave.
Their patience pays off.
He's already tore a hole through here, Rodrigo.
Fredeking and Vargas use a drug to force salivation, then collect the valuable saliva for research.
Protein in the saliva that dissolves blood clots will be bioengineered into a drug for man to dissolve blood clots.
Sleep. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Nobody bitten,
It's nice doing business. Nobody bitten. And we have exactly what we need. We got the quantity, the substance. It's now up to the genetic engineering people to fish out what's in it. Thank you, Rodrigo. Mission accomplished. Excellent. Thank you.
For Fredeking, this is where adventure meets science.
I am the man that the little boy I was wanted me to be. It's definitely not a job, it's an adventure.
You really believe that?
Well, kids, don't try this at home.
Gee, you can tell this guy really enjoys his work.
Yes,
but
he
does he actually handle all these little slimy creatures, or does he hire other people to do it?
Well, a little bit of both. His expertise lies in part in his contacts. So typically what he does is find the people, the experts, who will handle the snakes, who will wade in the water to attract the leeches. He does go on all of these trips the first time he contracts for a specific specimen. And if necessary, he will do the tough stuff.
Now, he said he's 60% businessman. How much does he charge, Shelley?
He charges between $25,000 and $50,000 for a project. And yes, some of what he has done has contributed to new drugs that are being used.
Good story. Thank you very much, Shelley. Well, there's much